here at NAB 2016 at the Zaxcom booth. I have Thomas here with me. Thomas, we've met with the Sound Devices guys. We're here now to talk with you guys. You guys actually offer some really unique things in your mixer recorders. I wonder if you kind of give us a walkthrough on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the biggest differences between us and the other companies here is that I don't want to say that we're like Apple, but we're more of a proprietary solution. You know, we're the type of people that want to have, you know, the mixer and the recorder in their bag and the wireless that can be controlled. We're just like an ultimate solution that if you just want to stay with one company and have everything work and sing together, you might want to stick with us. So basically, let's start with the recorders, because Zaxcom basically started with their recorder line with the Divas way back in the day, and now we've started to get into everything's getting smaller. So we're getting into like the Nomads and the Max recorders that fit in your bag. And one of the reasons why these are so cool is because, like, for example, with the Nomad, we have ZaxNet capabilities. And what that allows us to do is to control our wireless. Let's take a scenario of, you know, you're working on set and you have a scene with an actor that's, you know, shouting really loud and then they're talking really, really quiet. And, you know, you've got to find where that proper gain staging lives. Well, with ZaxNet, you have a different opportunity of actually mixing at the head of the microphone on the talent remotely. So what that means is if the actor's talking really quiet, from your recorder you can physically go in and turn up the gain and turn down the gain remotely without even having to touch the talent. So it makes you look a little bit more professional, it allows you to be a little bit more of a sound ninja or whatever you want to call it. So that's pretty much about it with the wireless, with the recorder and how it communicates with our wireless systems. Now, you also said that you wanted to know about NeverClip. NeverClip is something inside of all of our recorders as well as our wireless. And basically what it does, it literally does what it says. It allows the audio to never clip. It means that the dynamic range of the audio coming into these recorders can be so high now that you're probably going to distort the microphone before you distort the input. And basically the way that it works, without getting too much into it, it deals with the fact that you're using two analog to digital converters. When one of them is, they basically take one of these analog to digital converters and turn it down a little bit. So when the audio is coming in, if it's going to clip one, it instantly switches to the other one that's a little bit quieter to protect that audio so you don't clip. Then from there you take it into post-production and all they have to do is bring the audio up and it's going to sound perfect. You don't have any compression on it. It's just going to sound perfectly clean.
So they don't have, in post, they don't have to do anything. What they get is a standard broadcast wave and they can just work with it.
Exactly. They're going to have a file that looks the same, and it might just be a little bit lower. When we take a look at the recorder later, you'll notice that the never clipped tracks actually have an indication on them that says, hey, this track is never clipped. And then in the settings of the machine, you have the ability to set never clip. You know, I want it to be 6 decibels lower, or maybe even up to 24 decibels lower. And so what you would see is on those tracks an actual indication that these are never clipped. So then in post, they know, oh, okay, well that one, you know what, they were shouting and it clipped my mix track, but it didn't clip the ISO track. So then I can take it in there and just bring it up, you know?
Beautiful. That is beautiful. Because that's one of those things on set. You may not be able to do anything. You may not be able to react quickly enough. It was the actor's best performance.
Exactly, yeah. And so let's talk about the wireless then, because, you know, in fact, we're going to talk about that. You know, a lot of people are using wireless nowadays, and, you know, we're having a lot of problems with the stereo spectrum going away. You know, FCC, government, they're taking it away from us, and, you know, what are we going to do when it goes away? Well, we have a couple different solutions. First thing that we have is about 8-9 years ago, we were the first and the only that do the recording wireless. So Audio-Technica does it outside of the US, but we're the only ones that can do it here. And what this allows us to do is to have a fully timecode stamped file on these. So even if we're getting wireless hits coming to our bag, it doesn't matter. You've got all the audio on the card ready to go.
You've got your ISO on a micro SD card in the transmitter.
Exactly, and you can even name the transmitter, and that will be in the file. It's a broadcast wave file. You take it into the computer. You are going to have to use a program called ZaxConvert. It's available for free on the Zaxcom.com website, and that will take the file and convert it to broadcast wave with the embedded timecode stamp. You send it to post-production, they're going to know what to do with it. So that's one of the things. Now, the next thing, if you notice, our wireless systems say ZHD. That stands for Zaxcom High Density, not high definition. These are not 4K, okay? Maybe the camera is, but not this guy. No, what high density means is when you transmit a wireless frequency, like let's say 553.0, okay? Yes, you're transmitting on that frequency, but you're also transmitting around the frequency, okay? It's a wider frequency. It's about maybe 200 kilohertz wide, right? Well, the guys at Zaxcom figured out a way to change this modulation where it's shorter. It's only 50 kilohertz wide. And because it's a denser signal, it's able to travel farther. So we were actually doing some tests this past week with a couple other systems. Names aren't important, but they were getting upwards of 900 to 1,200 feet of range with whip antennas with the new modulation. And then they were going around a bus, which is even harder. So, I mean, just the fact that you can do something like that, the other systems were trying to get there and they were cutting out before they even got to the bus. So we've got a really, really good modulation now that's even better than what we had before. So that's basically the biggest thing with the new wireless systems. They record, they can be remotely controlled, and they transmit way farther than they ever have before.
Does that also have anything to do with how many transmitters you can get up and running without interfering with each other?
Absolutely. Like, in fact, if you can see back here, we have the stereo spectra, the scope over here, and if I start to turn on some of these wireless, you notice probably any other wireless system in this room would only be able to fit maybe 1 or 2 wireless systems within 1 megahertz of spectrum. So like right here, we have 553 to 554 on our spectrum. Well, we already have 2 in there, and you can see we could probably fit about 4 or 5 more in there with no problem. You can fit about 30, depending on where you are, about 30 of these transmitters in one wireless block with no intermodulation. Even if I put the antennas together like this, it's not changing any of the frequencies that are coming in. It's got a much narrower queue, which is going to help you be able to transmit farther.
That's beautiful as well, and that's a huge problem, especially when you're transmitting like this. These can be an absolute, wireless can be an absolute nightmare.
Absolutely.
But this will give your mixer, far fewer things to worry about.
Exactly. The biggest thing that, I'm a sound mixer in the field. I work for Zaxcom. I've done it for about 10 years. But the reason why I use Zaxcom is it's extremely versatile. If I'm ever on a job and they're like, hey, the director brought his kids, I need another set of headphones. Well, okay, I'll grab an ERX and turn it into an IFB, and now they can put headphones on. Or then they're like, hey, we've got a 5D, I need another camera. Okay, I'll put this as a camera hop now. Or, oh, I've got an ARRI Alexa, we got a third camera, now I need a locket box. It's just very versatile equipment that allows you to do everything and keep it self-contained with one company. Everything's going to talk to each other properly and everything's going to work right.
Kind of an ecosystem.
Exactly, that's it.
Very good. Thanks so much, Thomas, for your time today.
Take care, thank you.